Hey everyone, this is your captain speaking, and it's so nice to be with you again. I hope your 2025 is off to a great start. It's been a little while since I put up the last video, and I don't know what to say exactly. It's hard being the parent of a nearly 2-year-old child, which is my current situation. Stevie Rose is going to be 2 in 3 weeks, and he's amazing. We love him so much. And it's not easy being with a child like Stevie, who is very high energy. He's very high energy, and we haven't quite dialed in the sleep thing, where he sleeps super well and we sleep super well. And so, yeah, we're pretty tired. And so I haven't been able to have a lot of extra energy to devote to my YouTube channel, but things are changing. I'm back, and we're going to talk here in this video about the astrology of 2025 and 26 to some extent. And I would say we have super powerful astrology happening already. Things are really moving here at the beginning of 2025. And I guess I just want to pause and send love and blessings to everyone affected by the tragic fires in the Los Angeles area. Used to live in California, spent a lot of time in Los Angeles, and my heart is breaking for people that are dealing with all of that. And I have heard that the winds have died down a bit, which I think is good. So hopefully the worst of it is over. And so, just want to send love there, and also to all of the other areas on planet Earth at this moment in human history where, really difficult stuff is going down with wars and other kinds of conflict and hunger and oppression and all kinds of tragic shit is going on the earth right now. And so I just want to acknowledge that and send love to those people and to those areas on planet Earth. This year, next year, we have a very rare conjunction of 2 outer planets, Saturn and Neptune, and they only come together in a conjunction every 36 years or so. The last conjunction was especially focused in 1988 and 1989 into early 1990, 36 years ago. And so it's a super rare and powerful energy that does have something to do with the potential for sad things, tragic experiences. It's so many other things. There's so much beauty and positive potential in a Saturn-Neptune alignment like this, a conjunction at the beginning of a whole new cycle. So many things, and we're going to be talking about some of those things in this video. And I want to just acknowledge that it is a challenging alignment. Saturn is the planet of challenges, difficulties, hardships, contractions, fear, negativity. It has something to do with illness and mortality. And so it has a heavy energy to it, but it also has so many other qualities. Saturn has to do with maturity and wisdom and strength, commitment, loyalty, building solid structures that are secure and stable. And it's the capacity for really down-to-earth, practical tools and practices that, serve our lives well. And so it's like that energy is combining with Neptune, which is the planet of spirituality, of the divine, the sacred, the flow, the magic, the wonder, the stream of consciousness, imagination, visions. You know what I'm saying? It is very different from Saturn. They are truly one of the great polarities of the planetary pantheon. You know what I'm saying? And so whenever you got a great polarity of energies, there's incredible creativity that can come from that polarity when they are integrated well, when they alchemize well. And so that's what I want to talk about, is how can we alchemize a once in 36 year Saturn-Neptune conjunction well together. I really feel like everyone that is following my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Matthew Stelzner, and I love astrology and tarot and all kinds of spiritual things, UFOs, AI, all of it. I'm curious about a lot of things, but this channel is especially focused on astrology. And so if you're into this kind of thing, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, and you get to come on board my starship and travel through portals of possibilities. Portals are conjunctions of planets. That's how I think about it. When you get two planets that come into a conjunction to the same part of the sky, from the perspective of the Earth, it's a kind of portal where you can align yourself with those planets and kind of ride the waves of their energy towards higher possibilities, higher timelines, if you will. And so, yes, would love to have you join the collective consciousness experience of this channel. And yeah, I want to thank everybody that's been hanging out with me for a while. You know, we've been, some of you may go way back to 2011 when I started this channel, but especially things got going to a new degree, I would say in 2015 and then 2019. But definitely for the last 6 years or so, we've been talking a lot about portals and riding planetary consciousness waves and kind of surfing towards higher possibilities. So I'd love to have you join me in that kind of thing, because I do feel that this is a kind of consciousness experiment that we're doing, where when we kind of engage with the same thought forms together and we kind of focus our group mind intention on something like a once in 36 year planetary conjunction, that it's got the potential for some pretty strong energy where we support each other on some kind of deep level and we all manage the energy better. And so that's what I'm hoping for, that by focusing on this energy together, kind of naming it and aligning with it, setting intentions with it, that we'll all benefit from the shared intention. And so, yes, that is maybe a good introduction. I think this is a good moment to pause and let you know that I do have a website and I do give readings and I do have an email list, and you can get all the information you need in the box down below. If you sign up for my email list, you'll get emails where I let you know about special promotions like the one I got going on right now, where you can get a discount on my readings. And I like to announce workshops like the ones that I've got coming up on February 1st and March 1st. And I also like to announce classes like the one I'm going to be doing this year starting March 22nd, where we're going to meet most Saturdays for 8 weeks. And we're going to learn how to read the natal chart, understand the natal chart, and also work with personal transits. This is where you get to really do some pro surfing. And so if you're drawn to take the class or get a reading or take these workshops where we're going to be focusing on the astrology of 2025, then yeah, sign up for my email list. Love to have you come aboard my starship and really start exploring. So let's get back to the astrology of now, 2025. We're getting to the middle of January here, and I'd say we're on the runway, you know, heading towards liftoff into the really strong astrology of 2025. It's certainly already super strong, and I think maybe I should start by just acknowledging how strong the Mars energy is right now. Mars is at peak brightness. The Earth is as close as we get to Mars. We're doing our flyby of Mars. We're directly between the sun on one side and Mars on the other. And when that happens, when we're closest to Mars, Mars is much brighter. Mars is actually 75 times brighter right now than it was just 2 months ago. And so this is the best possible sky watching moment for Mars. We just had a full moon conjunct Mars the other night, and that was very striking. I hope some of you got to see it. And then last night was the exact Sun-Mars opposition, which is Mars's sacred holy day in a way, just because, it's when we're closest to Mars. It's when we can connect the most directly with Mars and what they are all about. And Mars is complex, but it's super strong right now, and it happens to also be opposite Pluto. Mars has been going back and forth across an opposition to Pluto for, let's see, let me take a look at my notes here just so I get this right. So Mars has been opposite Pluto since back in mid-October, and kind of going across the exact opposition and then going stationary retrograde once the Earth was getting kind of closer to Mars, and going back over the opposition, retrograding past it one time. And it's going to continue to be kind of operative time period for the Mars-Pluto energy up through mid-May. So mid-October to mid-May, got Mars going back and forth across Pluto. And that energy itself has a lot to do with just moving strongly forward with tremendous will and intentionality. It is a very extreme energy, Mars opposite Pluto. And when you add the Sun-Mars opposition here at this point, the sun in the sky is conjunct Pluto opposite Mars, which is a very potent, fiery, explosive combination. And it definitely is relevant to what has been happening in Los Angeles, for example. And it has the potential for a lot of aggression and anger and violence erupting in different ways. It's explosive, and so it's not an easy energy to be working with. There can be a sense of like burning through tremendous amounts of energy and a kind of burnout happening. On the other hand, when the energy is managed well, you see it when there's a kind of leadership potential where you're kind of leading the charge into the game of life and heading very strongly towards goals that you're pursuing. It can be very useful for that. And it can also be a pretty extreme energy, and it's not the easiest. But to have it so strong right now, I do feel like there's an opportunity to kind of catch its energy and move really strongly forward into 2025. And so, yes, you might want to be thinking about how have you come close to achieving your goals right about now, maybe goals that you set back at the end of 2023 when Mars was the furthest away from the Earth, when there was a Sun-Mars conjunction. That may have been a time where you were really trying to set a goal that you were going to pursue strongly and maybe get some coaching and support to head for that goal. Or maybe you were coaching yourself to really go for it. If there's anything like that at the end of 2023, you might be noticing how you're getting close to achieving that goal. As we arrive at Mars, so to speak, maybe you've arrived at the target. And when I think about my own life, I had a kind of goal that I would teach this class last spring, and that the recorded complete product would be available, which I will have that available soon. Sign up for my email list. Yeah, I can see where for myself, yeah, I was really pushing strong towards these goals. And I can see just this month how things have been coming together. And so you might tune in to see if there's anything like that for you. And maybe this is more the moment where you're feeling the high energy and you're setting new goals, or this is the time where you're really rallying to move towards the target. It can be paradoxical. I think at both the conjunction and the opposition, there's the potential to kind of rally your energy and move forward strongly. I can see in my case where it's like, yeah, I've kind of arrived close to where I was aiming for, and yet I do have to continue to set new goals to complete the whole Mars cycle. And so, yeah, I kind of feel that right now, feel that kind of rallying of energy in my life to move forward strongly into 2025 creatively. And so maybe tune into how that might be wanting to happen for you right now. It's a good moment here at the beginning of the year. This has been strong. And so it's a particularly strong new year, or maybe your New Year's resolutions may be stronger than usual, or your capacity to pursue those New Year's resolutions could be stronger than usual. So yeah, I hope that's happening for you and that you're kind of, working with the energy well, efficiently, not pushing yourself to extremes, which sometimes can happen. So yeah, I do think we need to be very mindful with our energy right now. On the one hand, having this very high energy quality with the Mars-Pluto and the Sun-Mars opposition, Mars being brightest in the sky. There's all of that energy, but then we also have this super potent Saturn-Neptune conjunction coming in really strong all the rest of this year, all of next year. And one of the themes with Saturn-Neptune is definitely about health and wellness. I think I maybe want to highlight that first, that this is a 2-year period where we're all going to be called to take better care of ourselves, maybe especially here in these first months of 2025, when Venus is going to be conjunct Saturn and Neptune. This is the other thing I really want to highlight strongly, is that we have something super rare and special happening where Venus is going to go retrograde soon. And she's going to be retrograding very close to Neptune. And so we're going to get a Venus-Neptune conjunction, and then another Venus-Neptune conjunction, and then a third Venus-Neptune conjunction. And because Saturn's there, it's like 3 really strong Venus-Saturn-Neptune triple conjunctions. And so this is a profound triple conjunction energy, Venus, Saturn, Neptune, happening 3 times. It's actually 4 or 5 times, if you have a kind of broader orb to the thing. But definitely there's 3 really tight triple conjunctions happening of Venus, Saturn, and Neptune, the first of which is coming up soon, and I'll talk about that. But I guess I just want to name that because Venus is involved with this Saturn-Neptune conjunction so strongly, it's already been happening the last week to 10 days. Venus is within just 2 degrees of conjunct Saturn right now as I'm recording this on the 16th. And so Venus is soon going to be in its first really tight conjunction with Neptune. And the moon's going to be coming on. And so we're going to have Moon, Venus, Neptune, triple conjunctions, 3 really tight triple conjunctions of Moon, Venus, and Neptune, 3 really tight Moon, Venus, and Saturn triple conjunctions. There's a lot going on here, but because Venus is involved, there's such a strong love force here as the Saturn-Neptune conjunction is flowing in. And so, for example, Venus conjunct Saturn, one of the themes with it is committed love, loyal love, serious love. And I like to think about it as an energy where we learn to be committed, loyal, protective lovers towards ourselves and others. But certainly it's one of the really important combinations for self-love where we're just like super loyal. Like, I've got your back. I've got my own back. For the rest of the ride, I'm committed to love myself. Everything that means. What does it mean to be a loyal lover? I think it means, being super kind and patient and gentle and supportive. And we learn to do that towards friends and family and lovers. We can learn over time through challenges, through relationships where maybe it didn't work out so well. That sense of being committed to be loving and supportive and kind with them. But we've learned with other relationships how to do it well, how to be kind of wise and mature in our love relationships. I think that's one of the things we're really learning strongly right now. It's been coming in for the last week really strongly. It's there for the next week really strongly. So it's like, how are you learning to be a loyal lover to yourself? Saturn is protective. So how are you protective of yourself in a really loving way? And right after that, we've got the Venus-Neptune coming in really strong, which, that's the heart chakra energy. It's Venus, the love force, and Neptune, the spiritual energies. And you put them together, and it's really divine love. And I think because there's such strong Venus-Saturn and Venus-Neptune energies for, it's like the rest of January, all of February, all of March, all of April, Venus is with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. It goes, let me just take a quick look at this. The total time that Venus is with the incoming Saturn-Neptune conjunction is from about January 7th through May 13th. So this whole time period that the Saturn-Neptune conjunction is coming in and moving towards exactitude, which it does come into exact orb by May. And this whole time it's coming in strong. Venus is right there, the goddess of love and kindness and sweetness and beauty and open-heartedness is with us as we enter into what can be a challenging energy. Because Saturn has to do with challenges. And so while there may be certain kinds of challenges, painful experiences, like, for example, Saturn-Neptune has to do with challenging states of consciousness. Neptune is consciousness, Saturn, challenges, contractions. And so, like, working with fear. Saturn-Neptune has to do with faith, overcoming fear. And so while there are some very real challenges that can go with a time period when Saturn and Neptune come together in the sky, and I do want to explore a range of those challenges, but I want to particularly focus on the positive potentials, and there are many positive potentials of Saturn and Neptune coming together, because if we can focus on those positive thought forms and those positive potentials, then I think we can manifest them more by just focusing on how they are very real potentials, which is a kind of Saturn-Neptune thing in itself. It's like Neptune is the imagination and it's the visionary, and Saturn is reality. When things come into reality, when they manifest in this real world with our real lives in this place of time and mortality, it's like when the waveform collapses into this particular timeline that emerges from that particular vision, where you hold the more positive vision for yourself, and then you make it real. That's a lot of what I'm going to be focusing on in the next couple of years, is manifesting a positive vision for my life, which I've been holding on to for a long time. And maybe you've had a vision that you've been working towards for a long time. And I want to suggest that these are two really important years for manifesting a vision that you've been working towards for a long time. It is the combination of making your dreams come true, of making your dream become real. It's like, what's the dream? How do you make it real? Saturn asks us to work at it slowly over a long period of time. And so maybe one practice is to go back over, you could go back 36 years to the last Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which happened especially in 88 and 89, but into the first half of 1990. You could go back there. You could do a little time traveling to see what the beginning of the cycle was about. But then there was the first square that happened in 98 and 99, especially coming in the second half of 97. But definitely 98 and 99 were the square. Maybe go back to then. What was happening in terms of trying to manifest a vision for your life? How are you building your dreams into reality at that opening square? Or you might go back to the opposition, that when Saturn was opposite Neptune in, what year was it? It was 2006 and 7. Those were the two key years of that Saturn-Neptune opposition. And you might kind of time travel back to that time. What was going on in your life where you were trying to build your vision into reality? Or how were you working to strengthen your spiritual life? How are you taking your spiritual life to the next level? Because that's a big part of what's possible with a Saturn-Neptune conjunction. It's beginning a whole new cycle of time, a whole new era in your life where your spiritual life gets stronger, where your spiritual life matures, where you kind of set intentions from a place of spiritual maturity and spiritual wisdom, where you're making wiser choices. I feel like one of the big opportunities for this year is to kind of harvest whatever wisdom we've learned on the path, and take all of that wisdom and spiritual maturity. And from that place of owning it, it's like, okay, how do I start this whole new era of my life spiritually from a wiser place? When I go back to 1988 and 1989, I was both in like my senior year of high school and my first couple years of college when that conjunction was happening. And it was like I was just kind of laying the foundation for a spiritual path, just barely starting to get the basic foundation and structural systems going for living a spiritual life. But it wasn't until the next square when I really had started to build something in terms of Saturn-Neptune is the potential for integrating spirituality, Neptune, into the various structures of your life. But career structures is one big area. And so if any of you have careers that are somehow integrating spirituality, consciousness, visionary states, or where Neptune has a lot to do with compassion and spiritual healing. And so anybody that's like in a healing profession, definitely Saturn-Neptune has a lot to do with nurses and doctors and hospice care. And so like if your work is in that general direction, then the Saturn-Neptune cycle is going to be especially important for you. And I've just been naming how that has been true in my life, the path of a professional astrologer and breathwork facilitator and that whole territory. Yeah, I can see really clearly how at these different junctures, I was both kind of challenged on my spiritual path. That's Saturn, Neptune being challenged on the spiritual path, Neptune. I was also building something that got more mature each turn of the clock, so to speak. And so, yes, if you're trying to build a more spiritually oriented or service oriented or health oriented career, then these couple years are super important, I would say, for starting out a new cycle of time well, where it's like, okay, I'm setting really strong intentions to build a more solid, secure, spiritually oriented career. And so if any of you are in that category, then I really want to encourage you to feel like this is kind of an optimal time for your advancement in your career. But then there's other people. It may not be that you're so much someone that's, got a career path that's so directly Neptunian, but it may be more that you're just a very committed spiritual person, that you identify as having walked a conscious spiritual path for a certain amount of time, maybe for a long time, but you're serious about it. That's Saturn. Saturn's serious, and Neptune is the spiritual path. And it's the potential for spiritual experiences. And it's the potential for spiritual healing and spiritual solace. And with Venus in these coming months, it's like, I feel like there's so much potential for spiritual healing and a kind of healing of the heart where it's almost like angels are going to be present. I feel like Venus, Neptune is a very angelic energy. And when the moon comes on to a Venus-Neptune conjunction, like it will 3 times, maybe 4 or 5 times actually, but 3 times where we've got a really tight moon-Venus-Neptune triple conjunction in the coming months. And it's like those 3 together are especially angelic. And so it's the only time for the next, I think it's 52 years. It's going to be 52 years from now or something. The next time Venus will go retrograde and have the potential for 3 moon, Venus, Neptune tight triple conjunctions, where it's like triple the potential for angels being around, a triple angelic vibe that's coming, where even though there's lots of challenges that can go with Saturn, Neptune, I want us to all think about having like really strong, loving beings that are here kind of guiding us through this difficult moment on the earth. And I think we can all agree that it's a pretty difficult moment on planet Earth right now. Better for some people than others, that's for sure. And for some people, it's a really difficult moment. And yet it's like in the most difficult moments, it's like that's when love comes in the strongest, I feel. I think that's a kind of law of the universe. When there's really difficult stuff happening in our lives, that's when love is most seeking us out. And I think that's when loving beings are most seeking us out. Loving beings finding us to guide and support us towards manifesting the highest potential of this very unique moment. Whether it's to overcome certain challenges or to kind of give us a little push in the right direction. This could be loving beings in the form of actual human beings that love you or just show up at key moments. Or this could be something more cosmic where you can't quite put your finger on what's happening, but you just feel like magic is happening. I think like Saturn Neptune has a lot to do with magic, where it's like on the one hand, like performing magic has that quality of illusions that defy reality. where Neptune is illusory and Saturn is like ordinary time and space. But it's also the magic, the real magic, which is a very Saturn-Neptune thing. Saturn real, Neptune magic. The real magic that happens when, something maybe paranormal happens. This is the alignment of paranormal activity and psi phenomena. And it has something to do with psi research. And you can track major moments in the history of psi research back to the 1800s and the formation of the Society for Psychical Research. That happened under Saturn-Neptune conjunction, if I'm not mistaken. And you can see it in other moments where, like the Princeton Pear Laboratory doing its research. Recently, I really felt the energy in something that's called the Telepathy Tapes podcast, which you can find on YouTube and I think on Spotify and I'm sure other places. It's become a bit of a phenomenon with it actually being more popular, I think, than the Joe Rogan podcast for a little while. And it's so compelling in this particular moment because it kind of resonates with the Saturn-Neptune energy, where it's like Neptune dissolves the ordinary boundaries of our consensus worldview and opens us to something beyond that. And what you're seeing in the telepathy tapes, actually just hearing, is it's a documentary series basically where they follow the research of, I wish I could remember her name, but I'll link to it down below. Her research into autistic children that have telepathy, talking about non-speaking autistic children for the most part, or unpredictable speech. And what has been found and demonstrated to a very high scientific caliber is these kids have like pure telepathy, not talking like they get 30% right or something. They get between 95 and 100% of the targets where they can't see a number in any way, but like their mom sees the number and they are able to see it also, like through a blindfold. They indicate the number, 6-digit number, with like perfect correctness. And so it's like not just numbers, but words and images. It's a mind-blowing thing. And it totally challenges your worldview if you're able to take it in. It also engages the skeptical mind, which is another one of the Saturn-Neptune themes. On the one hand, it is an alignment where like you can get the most rigid skepticism, denying anything like telepathy or denying anything like a UFO coming from another dimension of consciousness. Just a kind of rigid skepticism. And at the other end of the spectrum, you get, the process where your skepticism is dissolved away to the point where there's a kind of really strong faith in the spiritual worldview where something like telepathy does make sense. And so, yes, I want to take a few minutes now and look at a few themes that I've listed for myself as I've been kind of meditating on the energy as it's been coming in strong the last couple weeks, and just share a little more. I've definitely brought up a few themes. So I'm actually realizing that this could be a good place to end this video. I just recorded a bunch of Saturn-Neptune themes and kind of explored them in a rich way. I hope it's a rich way. And I think if I were to put it with this video, it would make it too long. So this is where we're going to wrap up for now. I'm going to release that second video soon. And then I'm going to record a third video for the astrology nerds out there where I'll put the astrology chart up and we can really look at the movement of the planets, day by day, but especially week by week and month by month over the next 4 or 5 months. And so look for that also hopefully soon. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and perhaps share it with somebody else that you think might like it. Consider subscribing if you haven't already subscribed. I'd love to have you follow our adventures and participate in our adventures. And please also leave a comment. I'd really love to hear how you're responding to this. How do you feel about entering into the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, where it's going to be a kind of end of a planetary era? I think there's that potential. It's the pre-2025, 2026 era and the post-Saturn-Neptune conjunction era, just like with the Saturn-Pluto conjunction of 2019 and 2020 that corresponded to the pandemic. There's a very different energy, but there was a sense of an outer planet conjunction with Saturn, which does tend to like mark a decisive boundary, and with Pluto especially, like a really intense, decisive boundary in human history, pre-pandemic, pre-Saturn-Pluto, post-Saturn-Pluto. I don't know how it's going to be this Saturn-Neptune conjunction. How will we have that sense of it's the end of a planetary era? Maybe it's going to be the end of a planetary worldview where we see through the Maya and start to understand the actual nature of reality. And so, yeah, I'd love to hear any feedback, comments, questions. I'm going to try to respond to every one of them. And yeah, like I said earlier, check out my email list. We're going to be doing some workshops in a class, and I'm trying to gather up some people to go on a journey into the unknown with me as we surf these waves together. So if that sounds interesting, please sign up for my email list or check out my website. Sending so many blessings, love, light, friendship, kindness. Be well.